Congratulations. First off, you're part of Ricey's backroom team as the new in situ Fermanagh managerial think tank. How's that going?
Well, it's in its early days now. Ricey made the call a couple of weeks ago, and I suppose I've called on him enough times in the pitch, so when he came calling looking for my help, I was only too happy to come in and join up in what seems to be a great setup.
Do you know what your role is going to be yet?
Would probably be more on the coaching side of things. Ricey would be taking the helm there with the managing, so it'll be hands-on coaching the end of things, and look forward to the challenge. Yeah,
because anytime we've talked to you over the years, you've always had very clear thoughts on how the game should be played. Is this something that was always on the cards for you, like an involvement at inter-county level coaching? Is that kind of always something you wanted to do?
Yeah, I would say, without a doubt, it's probably an itch that needed to be scratched. I didn't think it would be coming this early in my career. I only took on a club team this year, Clare, and things have went well. And following on from that, then the opportunity arose. Ricey, as I say, made the call, and I mean, I'm not that long out of playing the game, so I have a fair idea of what it takes at that level, and it's going to be a challenge, but I'm sure between Ricey, Paul McGyver, myself and the whole backroom team and the lads, we'll look forward to it.
What's your sense of where the ceiling is for Fermanagh?
Well, listen, I mean, they done well last year, maybe unlucky to not go up into Division 1, and you know, that's essentially where you want to be playing your football. A couple of years ago, they reached an Ulster final, and we're probably a bit in awe on the day. But listen, I think Fermanagh maybe wouldn't have the pick from other counties, but they would certainly make up for all their hard work, their endeavour, and their heart, and that's something you can use to an advantage. And we'll certainly be setting targets through the season individually and as a group, and following that, hopefully things will progress. And I think the important thing is there's a lot of young fellas coming through in Fermanagh, so it'll be an opportunity to bed them in and strengthen the future for Fermanagh football.
Best of luck with that, Joe. One of the reasons we actually wanted to get you on today was to talk about the All-Ireland football final and what your thoughts are coming into it. We've seen this Dub team come up against all different types of challenges over the last 4.5 years as they've been rolling towards this 5 in a row. And even if you go back to the Donegal game, is there anything that people have seen over those last 6 seasons, shall we say then, all the way back to that game in 2012, where opposition manager can think, well, let's just target that and see what happens if we go for that and keep going for it?
Yeah, well, if you look back probably to last year, the first 20 minutes of the All-Ireland final, Tyrone seemed to have Kerry rattled. They were doing everything well. They were, getting the ball into scoring positions. Their skills were slick. They took advantage of that purple patch. Maybe there was a turning point where Chatham McShane took a shot on. The shot may have not been on, and Dublin went up the field then and got a score following that, and that sort of gave them a bit of life. And I think when you're coming up against Dublin, I mean, the quality that they possess through all areas of the pitch and on their bench, I mean, there's a lot of fires to put out there, and you need to be at the top of your game. I mean, as I talked about, the skill level needs to be so high, and if you have an opportunity to get the scores on the board, or an opportunity like they take, a one-on-one situation, I think teams need to have the confidence and belief that they can take them on. Because it was actually interesting. I read an article last night. There was a fellow, Paddy Quinn, who was involved in the 2012 initial panel, and Gavin, it was the first year, 2011-2012, Gavin was brought in, and he was part of it, and he just talked about Gavin came in and the air of confidence that he brought to the squad, and basically he said we're going to win the All-Irelands over the next 3 years, and he talked about man-on-man battles. So you can see that, you can see how Dublin have set up in that way, and I think if teams isolate Dublin and are prepared to take them one-on-one when the opportunities present themselves, like they do, as Con O'Callaghan did against Mayo, a lot of forwards, when he got that ball inside, might have been happy to tip the point, but he just went for the juggler and took on the score. And there's a lot of areas of the pitch where people feel maybe Dublin could be targeted. They like to push up and tucks and kickouts, put on the pressure, but one thing's doing it. It's a high energy game. You're covering a lot of space, and if you do press up and they break out, I mean, the whole thing opens out for them. So Kerry's certainly going to have the work cut out.
Did you get a sense at all in the Kerry Tyrone game, Joe, that perhaps Kerry were content to allow Colin McShane to get a lot of possession and clip points over the bar? It seemed that their main priority was to not give up goal chances. Now, granted, Peter Hart, if he'd got a stronger hand to that ball, would have had the ball in the back of the net. But away from that, it seemed that they were allowing Colin McShane just to not get inside whoever was marking him at that moment and allowing him to clip the points. Am I completely off the mark on that?
To me, probably Tyrone, and certainly in the first half, they didn't take advantage of the possession they had. Kerry had a sweeper sitting in front, but the sweeper was almost sitting in no man's land. I think Tommy Griffin had to run in a stage and basically tell him where to stand, because there was a notion of space in front. Cahill was, as you say, the battle was going on inside between himself and then Matty Donnelly alongside him as well. And I think Tyrone probably could have used that more so to their advantage and getting the scores on the board. Now, Cahill, in his one-on-one battle for me in the day, I mean, I think he came out on top. He could have got a few more scores and punished them from that point of view. And I think Kerry, Dublin will be looking at that. They'll be looking at that ball inside and the space that they have been leaving, because Kerry were quite naive, and Tyrone were also naive in their inability to kick in so many balls when it was on. And for me, I think that's something that Dublin will be looking at and try to exploit, whether they just play with Conal Callan inside, because I know that clip stands out this season where he caught the ball and turned in mid-air almost and stuck it over the bar. So that's a nice option to have. But I feel that if Dublin, the way that they break, the pace and the power that they break at, Kerry may not have time to get themselves set up, and will feel, as I talked about earlier, about that one-on-one, they'll be happy to accept that challenge.
So do you think that Conor O'Callaghan and Paul Mannion get the exact same level of possession that the likes of McShane and Donnelly got a couple of weeks ago? They'll be able to turn those points into goals?
Without a doubt. I think they could seriously punish them. If Kerry's, Kerry are a proud county, they'll feel that that they're a footballing county. They may feel that they can go out and match Dublin man for man, and that could be a dangerous ploy, because, as I mentioned, that one-on-one situation, I mean, those fellas have the power, the pace, the sidestep, the dummy to go past, and more often than not, there's the cavalry arriving, coming in behind that with McCarthy and Fenton, and I mean, there could be a case of the floodgates opening, because for me, this Kerry team, what's the 5 Kerry minor, the titles in a row, they've a lot of young players have tasted senior football. They're coming up against the juggernaut of Dublin, who have some of them going for their 7th All-Ireland title. They know Croke Park so well, and everything behind that, the whole backdrop with that, and I think that, -6 Dublin could be a good bet.
Wow. Okay. Because the Kerry fans are mixed between trying to talk themselves into believing something miraculous might happen, and also that fear that you've expressed that this could be a one-sided, it could be a bit of a hiding, because we haven't seen the Dubs do that in a big game too often over the time. And obviously the Mayo game felt like a really big game, but maybe in retrospect that Mayo team weren't as good as we thought they were.
No, well, that's true. I think that this is a unique squad, and it's been well documented how good they are. But I just feel that Tyrone were on top so much for long periods of the game, without playing overly well, and they didn't punish Kerry. And Kerry, the turnover at Kieran McGarry gave a crossfield pass, it was cut out. Kerry went up and got the goal, and Sherwood come on, caused a little bit of bother with Tyrone. Tommy Walsh was a big influence as well. But I would imagine that Dublin will be well prepared from that point of view. And for me, I think that they'll look to starve them early on of any possession, early primary possession. They'll push up on their kickouts as Donegal did against Kerry, and they got a lot of scores from it. And I feel once they do that, that'll give them the launch pad for the rest of the game to go on and win it. And I'm not being disrespectful to Kerry. I mean, as I said to you, I know there's many battles with them over the years. I just feel that this game has come a bit too early for them. And I know people to be listening in to this, players, ex-players, whatever else, they will maybe using this as ammunition and have it plastered in the wall and use it as motivation. Because I know Tyrone in recent years coming up against Kerry, against Dublin, you were probably touching on the emotional side and drawing on the past games and whatnot. But Dublin have a vast a range of quality, and they're going to be hard to stop.
Joe, good stuff. Thanks a million for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Is that making you a little bit more scared, though?
Well, I did at the top of the show compare playing Dublin to the worst hangover you've ever had. That's a fairly big setup here. Don't bet on Dublin to cover the spread is usually the rule of thumb in GA betting, so I don't think that's exactly a hot take from Joe there.
No. I think a lot of people are saying it's going to be a close game.